Hey guys, every year when a new smartphone is released from your favorite lineup, the camera gets better and better. And we're at a point in our technology basically where we can take the standard iPhone and take amazing videos, slow motion, and even time lapses with it. We have also many filters that we can add to our photos and videos to give them that extra bit of personality. But in today's video, I'm going to show you 5 apps that can turn your iPhone into a makeshift professional DSLR. Now the majority of these apps are paid, but I'm going to have a link to a video I made on how to get paid apps for free in the description box below, so make sure to check that out. Now I chose these apps based on only 2 things. They have to be able to shoot photo and or video, and also they have to be available in the App Store, whether they be free or paid. Now let's take a look at the first app that we're going to open up here, and it's Pro Camera 8. Now if you're coming from the iPhone stock camera app, you'll notice a massive difference here. You can add a tilt meter, you can change grids, you can put the focus exposure lock on, you can have white balance lock, you can even change your frame rate, you can toggle through the grids as I'm doing right now, and obviously the grid with the little 9 in it's going to be your thirds, which you want to use. You can obviously toggle through your frame rates and your resolution as well. If you click on the settings here, you don't have much to do with video, but you've got a self timer, full screen trigger where you just tap anywhere on the screen to take a photo. Then you've got auto save, video zoom, and a couple of trivial, in my opinion, settings that you're not going to use much at all. Now the next app we're going to talk about is Procam 2, and this is regarded as one of the best apps for the iPhone, but not too much in my opinion. You'll notice that it does have some nice features, including the ability to zoom in, have an audio meter, and once you tap on that, it's basically a similar interface to Pro Camera 8, but in my opinion a little bit better. You have the option to change modes. You can swipe through different video and photo modes. And one extremely important or extremely cool feature that I found in here is that if you scroll to the bottom and then you pick the 4th option, for a couple of extra bucks, you'll have the ability to shoot Ultra HD 4K video. And the next app we're going to talk about here is the only free app on this list, and this is called Luff. Now this is the first app on our list that can truly turn your phone into a DSLR-like shooter. You have the option to change everything that you would on DSLR, and that's the zoom. You have the option to zoom in, which I don't use. It's a digital zoom, which is basically cropping. It makes your image unclear, but it's there if you want it. You have the option to rack focus, which is amazing. You can just toggle that from auto to manual by pressing on the little M in the corner, and then you have the option to rack your focus from left to right, and that's basically like a DSLR as well. On top of that, you have the option to change whatever ISO you want, which is your exposure kind of, and if you change that to manual, in my opinion you should put everything on manual just so you can get your preferred settings. And as you move the slider, you'll notice that the value increases or decreases depending on how you move it. You can get pretty down low thanks to the wide aperture of the iPhone, the 2.8 aperture. On top of that, you have your shutter speed, which you should generally keep around 1/50th of a second, as I'm gonna try to do right now, but it doesn't matter really, it just suits your needs. And for the iPhone, it's much better to keep it on a lower shutter speed. Now the only reason this app is not higher on our list is because it only has the ability to take photos and not video. And that brings us to our next app, which is Filmic Pro. Now if you're into filmmaking the slightest bit, I'm sure you've heard of this, but if not, it's basically an extremely advanced iPhone video app, and it lets you change everything a DSLR would. From basically, you can change your exposures, you can change your focus, you can change your white balance, but it has a very unique style. It's almost like you can adjust extra settings and export settings and things that you wouldn't be able to normally on a phone. As you can see here, the frame rate you can adjust from a 30 FPS, which is standard with the iPhone, to maybe more cinematic 24 FPS. That's what I keep it on anyway. If you scroll down, you're going to see you have your slow motion effects, your fast motion effects. You have resolution that you can change. You can change your aspect ratio to suit your needs. and it has so many settings. You can see your video encoding, which Apple standard is 24 megabits per second. It's basically very good quality. Filmic quality is even better than that, but once you get higher, the file sizes start to get extremely large. Your reticle is basically your focus and exposure kind of toggle that you have on the shooting screen. I keep it on double just so I can have that extra bit of control. The camera UI you can change from transparent to color bar matte, which I don't like at all. As you can see here, it looks really bad in my opinion. If you change it to transparent, you'll get that more advanced iOS 7 kind of like feel. If we go back into the settings menu, you'll notice that there is image stabilization, which you wouldn't expect on an iPhone, and there's already software image stabilization on the iPhone 6. There's a framing guide which lets you choose your aspect ratio as well. You've got a couple of mic controls, and there's just too many to go through in this one video, and it's a really good app overall. It is the most expensive on the list. So if we run through a little bit of the interface, if you notice when you hold down the exposure or whatever you hold down, there is going to be a little toggle that you can change and adjust the setting with. Right now I'm changing the exposure. I'm making it lighter, darker. Now I switched over to the focus, and here's where you can rack focus again, just like a DSLR. And that basically, if you let go of it, it will lock your setting in. And there is a white balance option as well. That white balance option, you can, if you hold it, you have the option to change the tint, which gets you basically different colors on your. I don't like that. I keep it at 0, at neutral, at standard. Then if you switch over, you have your K, which is your Kelvin temperature, and 5500 is about daylight, and that's where you want to keep it at. Then again, you can adjust everything with your exposure. Here there's a digital zoom. As you can see, I adjusted to not work, or I disabled in the settings simply because it shouldn't be used at all. Now, the #1 app in my opinion for your iPhone is Camera Plus. This is not the most expensive on the list, but it's definitely, for sure, 100% guaranteed the best app. And here's why. You have the options to change everything you would on a DSLR. As you can see, you can just tap the ISO. You can switch it obviously from auto to manual. And the only reason I like this more than Filmic Pro is because the units are more like a DSLR here. As you can see, the 1/30th of a second or whatever. On the Filmic Pro, it gives you its own standard unit, as in 0, 1, 1.5, and that sort of thing, which I don't like. I like to have the same reference as my DSLR to make everything easier on me. Now, you want to keep it at generally 1/60th of a second. As I said before, your ISO, you can change it. Your ISO, which is your exposure, you can change that to as low and as high as you want. Same kind of deal, and it's absolutely an amazing app. If we switch over here to the white balance, we just give that a tap. It has a lot of settings, and let's just scroll through these for a second. You can lock and unlock. You can set it on auto white balance, but it has a lot of settings. And then if you decide to press the plus, you can get a custom white balance setting, or manual. You can change again the Kelvin temperature to whatever you want it to be, and if you don't want to go through all of that, you can just press auto. If we toggle over to the focus aspect or focus setting, you'll notice that it's the same thing. You have the rack focus, which can get you that nice depth of field that you would generally want. Now, if that didn't impress you enough, you have some settings that you can change for video. These are useful, but that deserves a whole video on its own. Now, this is the first of a two-part series. In the second part, I'm going to be showing you the best photo editors or post-production editors for your iPhone. Peace out.